Da, 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 ba, 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 da, 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 blah, blah, blah. What's good? What's good, cousin? Where you been? No, where I been? Nigga, where we been? Okay? It's been a minute since I filmed a little sit down ditty, okay? Because your girl been tapping in with the vlogs, okay? I have. So you should check them out if you haven't been keeping yourself updated. But it's your girl, the Hood Alchemist, here with that healing and flavorful content nonetheless, okay? Nonetheless, still giving you the art of transformation. Don't you ever forget it. But in today's video, we're going to talk about the dark side of fasting. The dark side of fasting. And that's any type of fasting, okay? Water fasting, intermittent fasting, normal fasting. We're just going to talk about how it can be a slow and slippery slope into something that it don't need to be. So make sure you already tap in, like this video. Just like it because I'm cute. If you're saying I'm not cute, you lying. Okay? Like it because you want to be a truth teller. Go ahead, I gave you time. Okay? And if you feel like it, just subscribe. Subscribe. Join the tribe if you're feeling a vibe. Okay? But in the meantime, let's get in. Let's get into this good. This good. Okay? Okay. So if you are familiar at all with my channel and any of my previous videos, okay, should I just remember something? I just remembered in the vlog that I just dropped that I said I would never say content. And then my whole thing is healing and flavorful content. And it's like, damn. Either way, if you're familiar with my channel, then you know that I utilize fasting a lot, okay? Fasting has been a key component in me getting more grounded and disciplined and routine and caring for my body. I've done a 30-day water fast, which I have my story time video about that, which you can find it here, okay? And then I have a newer video where I talk about how fasting over the past decade, this one here, you know, how that's influenced and shaped and how it's changed my life. So I am very, very, very familiar with fasting. I also grew up in a church, Pentecostal, okay, where we utilize fasting as a part of our spiritual practice and religious understanding. So fasting has been very, very, very key to just my development as a person. And over, you know, this lifetime, if you include church experience, but over at least this past, you know, 10 to 12 and 13 years, getting up there. Okay, over this time, you know, and this experience just with myself and watching others, I've noticed a lot about fasting. And I see on YouTube, you know, and on the internet, we talk a lot about, you know, the positives of fasting, and or it's either the extremes of people who just don't even believe that fasting does anything or that it works. And then I don't really see a lot of people talking about, you know, like what fasting can also be a gateway to, because we are humans. And in our human, you know, in our humanity, in our even quest to be more grounded in our experience as humans, it just makes us open to a lot of things. You know, we have the privilege of being able to experience life in a way that, you know, no other species does. You know, the trees, the animals, they don't get to experience life the way that we do. They don't get to have the type of consciousness that we have. And I feel like with having that gift of consciousness and collective consciousness and being connected to that, it opens us up, you know, to being sensitive to other things in different ways, and being sensitive to more shadowy, dark things, you know, as well. And so as much as fasting can be a tool to help aid in shifting someone from an unhealthy lifestyle, or from a negative, you know, perspective, or or way of relating, it can also lead someone into negative habits and deeper into their trauma. And so we're going to talk about that. You don't want to use fasting to convince your body that it doesn't know how to do what it already naturally knows how to do. Technically, our bodies are always cleansing. They're always taking care of themselves. They're always healing, as long as you give it what it needs. And we aren't just honest with ourselves that we don't really give our bodies what it needs. We give our minds what they want. We give our parasites what they want. We give our emotions and feelings. We give our bodies a lot of the stuff that like we want and that is craving. We don't always give it just what it needs, you know? And so when you fast, that's your way of convincing your body it's giving us what it needs, when in reality, fasting is supposed to be a reset to just help your body remember what it's already meant to do and to have the space to do what it's already meant to do, you know? So we don't want to take away the beauty of fasting, because we as humans just can't be honest with ourselves about our capacity and our willingness to take up space and have authority in our human and spiritual existence. Okay, so a lot of times people come to fasting as a way to get back connected to their bodies, as a way to, you know, build a healthier muscle. And when you are coming to fasting from that perspective, then that means that you are coming from it from a place of lack. You are coming from it from a place of thinking that where you're at is not good enough or needs work, you know? And a lot of times, because we are human, because we are ever evolving, you know, we're always going to kind of need work. We're going to need to be moving towards something. But to always be focused on the mindset of striving towards something creates this mentality of feeling that you're not good enough. You're not there yet. You're never going to get there. You get what I'm saying? So it puts you in this state of lack. And if you've heard some of my other videos, to me, when you are living in a state of lack, that means you are living in a state of ego. Okay? Because you're always wanting something better. You're always wanting something more. Nothing's ever good enough. And that may not be what you're telling yourself, but through time, people who tend to connect fasting to that, connect fasting to only to lose weight or only to do better, it can also connect fasting with this idea of, you know, like, I'm not good enough, even though that's not your root intention and purpose for the fast. I also find that a lot of times people utilize fasting to get grounded back into their bodies or to get control over their bodies, you know, which also means that you're coming to fasting as a way to give you power to be in yourself. And fasting can help you become more aware of yourself. Fasting can help you become more in tune with yourself. Only you, you know, it's all in your mind, you know? And so even thinking that you're not in your body is really something that's happening in your mind. And as much as fasting can be a tool to bridge that gap, you are the only thing. It's kind of like you're still creating something outside of yourself to need, something outside of yourself to like want, or to be the thing that like gets you to you. And so, but if there was a time when it's like you weren't able to fast, would you still be able to like call on that same energy? And when I say call on that same energy, I mean being safe in your body. If you're constantly telling yourself that you need something outside of yourself to feel safe in your body, that can become a distraction from you actually taking up space in your body. The only way to do that is to just do it, regardless of the circumstances, regardless if you're uncomfortable, regardless of if you're perfect yet. Do you get what I'm saying? It's also when you're coming to fasting from a place of being outside of yourself, or from a place of lack, or feeling like you need to better improve something, it can also program you to believe that the only way that you can grow is to lose, is to have to give up, is to have to sacrifice. Because most times, you know, the way we've learn to fast and the way we're taught to fast, it's usually us depriving ourselves. And it's usually us depriving ourselves of things that we've placed in the category as, things we need, or nurturing things, or, and food. I mean, food is something that you need. Food is sustenance. Everybody, like, at some point is going to need food. Like, yeah, I went 30 days without food, but also you need food. If you're sick, if you're having illness, even if you're fasting, you still need a certain type of food to aid in your health getting better, So it's just about finding that balance and moderation with that, and allowing yourself to learn how to find worth and value in yourself in ways that don't just teach you to have to take away. There has to be balance. What I've also realized is when you don't have that balance, that can open people up to having an unhealthy connection with food and with eating. So someone who fasts too much may not know how to relate or connect to food anymore, may not have a balance with that, which can open a person up to having eating disorders or having issues around nourishing themselves, but on the flip side, fasting is also something that can be used to help, and to heal a person's connection with their eating disorders. But when you're coming to it in extreme ways, it can also be the thing that can kind of create that, especially when you're only using it for weight loss. And this is why I always say that people have to have a spiritual understanding with their fasting. It can't just be to lose weight. It can't just be because I'm fit and this is the best. You have to know your intention. You have to know why, and you have to always be clear on that and always be reevaluating that and knowing when to step away from that or when to release that and let that go, With creating such an extreme energy around your eating and your lifestyle, and I'm using eating and water fasting and ones that have to do with your diet as the base, but fasting from anything in too much can open you up to these types of things. Everything has to have balance. Everything has to have intention. Everything has to have, something else to ground it or to center it, not to control or to manipulate, but we have to be grounded and centered in why and when we're doing things. Fasting in a season when you need to be nourishing yourself can be more detrimental than if you were, not, that probably didn't make sense, but the end part probably didn't make sense, but it's you got what I was saying. Okay. Fasting when you should be nourishing yourself is more detrimental than anything. So also, again, when you create these extremes around your lifestyle, it can create isolation and make it hard for you to have intimacy and connection with others. It can also create judgments because you can be so caught up in your, well, I'm doing this and well, you ain't, you can just be so caught up in you and your process and what you need that you don't know how to allow other people to come in and, nourish you, feed you, any of that. And so you want to just make sure that if you find that you're shifting into a healthier lifestyle and it's bringing in more like-minded relationships and connections, that's good. But when you find that the way you connect to your wellness routines and your fasting isolates you from other people and kind of forces you to judge other people or to not know how to connect to other people anymore, that's when you need to reel it back in a little and be okay, maybe I need to find a little balance with this, because the goal, again, when we are evolving and growing and grounding into our bodies, into our human experiences, when we are learning to embrace and expand in our spirits, it's all about the moderation. And at the end of the day, it's all about being nourished. That's the thing. We are in a time where we as humans need to learn how to be nourished, so you have to utilize these practices, fasting, spirituality, all these things to nourish your spirit, to nourish yourself, and to nourish those around you. And so the thing about fasting that people have to remember is to not get so caught up on depriving themselves, not get so caught up on restricting themselves, not get so caught up on that they forget how to nourish, that they forget how to be connected, that they forget how to be grounded, centered, and present. And that's another thing that I feel sometimes when people are so caught up on fasting in any type of way, it can stop them from just being present. As much as it is a tool, again, it's a tool that you use to teach you better awareness, to teach you to know how to be present in the moment. But if you're so caught up on always doing it, if you're so caught up on just like, then you're not really giving yourself the space to actually just be present, And so I really hope this video has inspired just some thoughts and some ideas about fasting, and, encourages you to kind of reevaluate how you're connecting to your wellness practices and your spiritual practices, and just remembering that the point of these things aren't for you to be suffering, aren't for you to just be on this hamster wheel of healing. At some point you have to allow yourself to just embrace who you are and where you are. At some point you have to just let yourself, come to a neutral space with things. We're so used to being in extremes, and I think we feel like something else is going to get us there, but at some point you have to choose to just allow yourself to come to peace, come to stillness, come to presence, yeah. So I'm going to end it there because I don't want to say too much, and I want to hear what y'all think. Drop a comment below. There's probably going to be a part 2 to this video because my thoughts are ever expanding on it, but I really want to know what you think in the comments below. So please keep the conversation rolling. If you got any questions for me, if you think there's something I could have touched on better, let your girl know, because I'm always open. Unless you a hater, okay? But even the haters, what's popping, but you don't really want these problems. Anyway, y'all, I love you. Love yourself, okay? Until the next time, it's your girl, the Hood Alchemist, and we out.